Tea, in its many forms, has woven itself into the fabric of human civilization for thousands of years. Its journey from wild shrub to global beverage is a story that encompasses ancient legends, imperial intrigue, colonial ambition, and the simple, everyday rituals of people across continents. To trace the history of drinking tea is to follow a thread through time that connects emperors and peasants, monks and merchants, revolutionaries and poets. The story of tea is as much about the people who have cultivated, traded, and cherished it as it is about the leaves themselves. The origins of tea are shrouded in myth and mystery, with the earliest records emerging from China. According to legend, tea was discovered by Emperor Shen Nong in 2737 BCE when some leaves from a wild tea bush drifted into his pot of boiling water. Enchanted by the resulting aroma and invigorating effect, Shen Nong became the first tea drinker. While this tale is apocryphal, archaeological evidence suggests that tea leaves were indeed being consumed in China as early as the Shang Dynasty, 1600 to 1046 BCE, often as part of medicinal brews rather than the social beverage we know today. By the Han Dynasty, 206 BCE 220 CE, tea had begun to establish its place in Chinese society, valued for both its flavor and purported health benefits. The preparation of tea during this era was markedly different from modern methods. Tea leaves were often pressed into cakes, which were then boiled with other ingredients such as ginger, onion, and orange peel. It was not until the Tang Dynasty, 618 to 907 CE, that tea culture began to flourish in earnest. The Tang period saw the rise of tea as a refined beverage, with the publication of Lu Yu's The Classic of Tea, Cha Jing, the world's first treatise on tea. Lu Yu's work codified the art of tea preparation and appreciation, elevating it from a humble drink to a symbol of cultural sophistication. During the Song Dynasty, 960 to 1279 CE, tea drinking evolved further, giving birth to elaborate tea ceremonies and the development of powdered tea, which would later inspire the Japanese matcha tradition. Tea houses became centers of social life, where scholars, artists, and officials gathered to converse and enjoy the subtle pleasures of tea. The aesthetic ideals of the Song era, simplicity, harmony, and respect for nature, became intertwined with the rituals of tea drinking, influencing generations to come. Tea's journey beyond China began along the ancient trade routes that crisscrossed Asia. Buddhist monks carried tea to Japan in the early 9th century, where it was initially used as an aid to meditation. The Japanese refined their own unique tea culture, culminating in the development of the Chanoyu, or Japanese tea ceremony, under the influence of Zen Buddhism. This highly ritualized practice emphasized mindfulness, tranquility, and the appreciation of fleeting beauty encapsulated in the concept of wabi-sabi. Meanwhile, tea found its way westward via the Silk Road and maritime routes, reaching Central Asia, Tibet, and eventually the Middle East. In Tibet, tea became a staple of daily life, often consumed as butter tea, a hearty concoction of tea leaves, yak butter, and salt. This adaptation suited the harsh climate of the Tibetan plateau and provided sustenance for nomads and monks alike. Tea's arrival in Europe is a relatively recent chapter in its long history. Portuguese and Dutch traders were among the first Europeans to encounter tea in the early 17th century, bringing small quantities back to the courts of Europe. The exotic beverage quickly gained favor among the aristocracy, particularly in the Netherlands, France, and England. In England, tea was initially a luxury item available only to the wealthy. Coffee houses, which had sprung up in London and other cities, soon began serving tea, and its popularity soared. The marriage of Catherine of Braganza, a Portuguese princess, to King Charles II of England in 1662 played a pivotal role in popularizing tea at the English court. Catherine was an avid tea drinker, and her enthusiasm helped establish tea as the fashionable drink of the elite. By the 18th century, tea had become an integral part of British daily life, with the invention of afternoon tea attributed to Anna, the Duchess of Bedford, in the early 19th century. The British demand for tea had far-reaching consequences, both economic and political. The East India Company, seeking to secure a steady supply of tea, established direct trade with China, paying for the precious leaves with silver. This trade imbalance eventually led the British to introduce opium into China, triggering the Opium Wars of the mid-19th century, a grim testament to the lengths nations would go to secure their tea fix. To break China's monopoly on tea production, the British began cultivating tea in their colonies, most notably in India and Ceylon, now Sri Lanka. Robert Fortune, a Scottish botanist, was instrumental in this effort, smuggling tea plants and knowledge out of China in the 1840s. The establishment of vast tea plantations in Assam, Darjeeling, and Nilgiri transformed the Indian landscape and economy, while also reshaping global tea consumption patterns. Indian teas, with their robust flavors, became the foundation of blends like English breakfast and Earl Grey, beloved around the world. In America, tea played its own dramatic role in the nation's history. The American colonists' resentment over British taxation of tea culminated in the Boston Tea Party of 1773, when protesters dumped chests of tea into Boston Harbor. This act of defiance became a catalyst for the American Revolution, forever entwining tea with the ideals of liberty and independence. Back in Asia, tea continued to evolve. In China, the Qing dynasty, 1644 to 1912, saw the development of new varieties and processing techniques, including the creation of oolong and black teas. Each region developed its own distinctive styles, from the delicate green teas of Zhejiang to the smoky, lapsang souchong of Fujian. The Chinese art of gongfu cha, or making tea with skill, epitomized the meticulous attention to detail that characterizes traditional tea culture. In Japan, the tea ceremony reached its zenith under the influence of Sen no Rikyu, 1522 to 1591, who emphasized humility, simplicity, and the spiritual dimension of tea. The aesthetics of the tea room, the choice of utensils, and even the arrangement of flowers all contributed to the unique atmosphere of the Japanese tea gathering. Over time, tea drinking spread throughout Japanese society, becoming a daily ritual as well as a marker of cultural identity. Across the globe, other cultures developed their own distinctive tea traditions. In Russia, the samovar, a metal urn used to boil water, became the centerpiece of tea drinking, symbolizing hospitality and family togetherness. Russian tea is often served strong and sweet, accompanied by jam or lemon. In Morocco, mint tea prepared with green tea, fresh mint, and sugar is a symbol of hospitality, offered to guests as a sign of respect and friendship. In Turkey, tea is brewed strong and served in small, tulip-shaped glasses, forming the heart of social gatherings in homes and tea gardens. As the 19th and 20th centuries progressed, technological advancements transformed the tea industry. The invention of the tea bag in the early 20th century revolutionized tea consumption, making it more convenient and accessible. The rise of mass production and global trade brought tea to every corner of the world, cementing its status as the most widely consumed beverage after water. Yet, even as tea became a global commodity, it retained its deep cultural significance. In Britain, the ritual of afternoon tea endures, complete with delicate sandwiches, scones, and cakes. In China and Japan, traditional tea ceremonies continue to be practiced, preserving ancient customs and aesthetic values. In India, the ubiquitous chai, spiced tea with milk and sugar, is a daily comfort for millions, sold by street vendors and enjoyed in homes and offices alike. The modern era has also witnessed a renaissance of interest in specialty teas and artisanal production methods. Connoisseurs seek out rare single-origin teas, exploring the nuances of terroir, processing, and brewing technique. Tea festivals, workshops, and tastings have proliferated, reflecting a renewed appreciation for the complexity and diversity of tea. At the same time, tea has become a vehicle for social change and environmental stewardship. Fair trade initiatives and organic farming practices aim to ensure that tea production benefits workers and protects the environment. Smallholder farmers, particularly in Africa and South Asia, play a crucial role in the global tea supply chain, and efforts to improve their livelihoods are gaining momentum. Throughout its long history, tea has inspired art, literature, and philosophy. Poets from Li Bai in China to Alexander Pushkin in Russia have celebrated the pleasures of tea. Artists have depicted tea gatherings in paintings, prints, and ceramics. Philosophers and spiritual leaders have meditated on the symbolism of tea, the union of earth, water, fire, and air, the balance of bitterness and sweetness, the fleeting nature of beauty and life. Perhaps the enduring appeal of tea lies in its ability to bring people together. Whether shared among friends, offered to strangers, or savored in solitude, tea fosters connection and contemplation. Its rituals, whether elaborate or simple, invite us to slow down, to appreciate the present moment, and to find meaning in the ordinary. Today, tea continues to evolve, adapting to changing tastes and lifestyles. The rise of bubble tea in Taiwan, the popularity of iced tea in the United States, and the growing market for herbal and wellness teas reflect the dynamic nature of tea culture. At the same time, traditional practices endure, linking us to the generations who have come before. In the end, the history of drinking tea is a story without end, a living tradition that continues to unfold, one cup at a time. As we lift our cups, we participate in a ritual that spans continents and centuries, a testament to the power of a humble leaf to shape the course of human history.